Hi, I am Phybea Madeline Lumbanturuan.
Hi, I'm Fred Caabay.
Hi, I'm Arriza A. Zamora.
Hi, I am Raia Besana.
And I am James Lawrence Manluza, and today we will be talking about Gaucher's disease. So in this video, we'll be exploring Gaucher's disease. We'll be discussing the metabolic pathways and chemical reactions involved. Next, we'll examine the formation of specific cells involved in the disease, called Gaucher cells. We'll also cover the types or subdivisions of Gaucher disease, which include type 1, type 2, and type 3. And finally, we will review the available treatments such as enzyme replacement therapy and substrate reduction therapy designed to manage the disease effectively.
Gaucher's disease is the most common lysosomal storage disorder, though it is still considered rare. It is a genetic condition caused by mutations in the GBA gene, which lead to a deficiency in the enzyme glucocerebrosidase. Glucocerebrosidase, also known as glucosidase, is an enzyme produced by the GBA gene. Its main job is to break down a type of fat called glucocerebrosides.
Glycosylceramide. Glycolipid contains sugar and fat, composed of glucose molecule attached to a ceramide backbone, formed through a set of reactions that requires enzymes. And then it becomes a part of various cells. The cell gets old and damaged, the macrophages engulf them. It gets broken down inside lysosomes.
Once broken down, these fats are either recycled to be used again by the body or safely removed as waste.
To be a little bit detailed, this is the metabolic pathways and the chemical reactions involved in the process. This diagram shows how ceramide and glucocerebrosides are made and broken down in the body with the help of two enzymes, glucosylceramide synthase and glucocerebrosidase. Ceramide is a type of fat, and glucosylceramide synthase helps attach a glucose molecule to ceramide using UDP. Glucose a glucose donor, forming glucocerebroside and releasing UDP as a byproduct. On the other hand, glucocerebrosidase breaks down glucocerebrosides into ceramide and free glucose through hydrolysis or addition of water. This process is important for keeping a balance in sphingolipid metabolism. Problems in this pathway, specifically lack of glucocerebrosidase, can lead to Gaucher's disease.
Glucocerebrosidase is responsible for breaking down glucocerebrosides into ceramide and free glucose in lysosomes. When glucocerebrosidase is deficient or non-functional due to mutation in the GBA gene, glycocerebrosides accumulates in lysosomes of cells, especially macrophages. Glucocerebroside can't be broken down and accumulates inside lysosomes of macrophages. The fatty macrophages then will be transformed into Gaucher cells.
When the enzyme is insufficient or missing, fatty substances accumulate in the various organs, such as the liver, spleen, and bone marrow, causing damage and affecting their function. Symptoms can vary widely and may include enlarged organs, bone pain, anemia, and fatigue.
There are a few subtypes of Gaucher's disease: the type 1, type 2, and type 3.
So for the most common type, we have type 1 or the non-neuropathic. In this type, the disease affects the liver, spleen, and bones, but spares the brain. This type actually is asymptomatic, meaning the person may not be aware of it. Gaucher cells accumulate in the bone, right? And an important part of the bone is bone marrow, because the RBC and WBC, or the red blood cells and the white blood cells, develop there. Now, because of the accumulation of Gaucher cells, it affects the production of these cells. This condition is called pancytopenia. And by that, lower RBC can cause anemia and fatigue. Reduced WBC can cause leukopenia and infections. There can also be bone infarctions, which can result to physical deformity and avascular necrosis, or the death of bone tissues. Osteoporosis is another manifestation. The liver and spleen can both become enlarged, and this can cause bleeding and easy bruising. Hepatomegaly and splenomegaly.
Okay, so for the second subdivision type is acute neuropathic. It is severe and affects the brain and then leading to repeat disease progressions in infancy. And then is a glucocerebrocyte built up into our brains. And then symptoms is a type 1 loss of the motor skills and the muscle spasms, trouble swallowing, and can progress to death or the first few years of the life. And then the third type is a chronic neuronopathic. Is a like type 2 but as symptoms develop at a slower rate. And then the last is a seizures can be a major problem to individuals with type 3 Gaucher's disease.
Treatment from Gaucher's disease depends on how severe the condition is and the type of symptoms a person has. While there is currently no complete cure, several effective treatments can help manage symptoms and prevent disease from getting worse.
Let's talk about the treatment of Gaucher's disease. Unfortunately, there's no full cure for the condition, but don't worry, there are treatments that can really help. The treatment you can get depends on how serious the disease is. And while it doesn't cure the disease, it can manage the symptoms and help slow down how fast the disease gets worsened. One of the treatment for Gaucher's disease is called enzyme replacement therapy, or ERT. In this treatment, doctors give a special enzyme through an infusion to replace the enzyme that's missing. Some common versions of these enzymes are called imiglucerase and velaglucerase. While this treatment doesn't cure the disease, it does make a big difference by helping people feel better. Another treatment option for Gaucher's disease is called substrate reduction therapy, or SRT. This treatment works a little differently. It uses medication like iliglustat to slow down how much of a certain fatty substance, called glucosylceramide, is made in the body by reducing its production. It helps prevent the buildup that causes problems. SRT is usually recommended for people who can tolerate enzyme replacement therapy, or ERT.
Thank you for taking the time to learn about Gaucher disease today. Together, we can help raise awareness, improve early diagnosis, and support those living with this condition. Let's strive to make meaningful difference in the lives of patients and their families. Gaucher, Gaucher's disease.
The reactions involved of specific cells involved in the disease called Gaucher. Ang daming na.
Glycosylceramide. Glycolipid contains sugar and fat. Glycosylceramide. Glycolipid contains sugar and fat, also composed of a glucose.
Both the liver and spleen both, and this can cause bleeding and easily